Hey everybody, John here from the esports department going over the EU Masters. Just an overview of the teams, the regions, what we're looking at, who we're dealing with here. Try to help you guys get a better grasp on what's going to be happening in the EU Masters. I won't be doing daily slate-by-slate breakdowns for EU Masters. I just cover the main four regions for those, and there's still some decent action to be had in those. But I wanted to go over the teams, who we're dealing with here, whether these are people we've seen before. For anyone who doesn't know how EU Masters works, I'm going to go over it just a little bit, so there might be some information that's a little bit boring to you if you're not someone who's watched EU Masters before. If you are someone who's watched it before, it might be a little bit boring. If you haven't watched it before, this might be a little bit more useful for you. So the way that EU Masters works is it's kind of like a world championship, but for the smaller regions within Europe. You can see all the various regions here. There's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, France, Spain, Poland, UK, and the Nordics, Italy, the Balkans, Greece, and Cyprus, and then even in the play-ins there was Portugal, the Czech Republic, the Benelux, Italy, like lots of different various kinds of regions. The most important thing to recognize for that is that historically, by far the strongest regions, a lot of these teams are kind of products of their environment in a sense. The teams that come from the stronger regions and also have backing of the major LCS or LEC orgs tend to be the strongest, or teams that come from regions that have those teams in them. So even like, for instance, a team like KPW Neosurf, who we're going to see here, they're not directly backed by an LEC org, but they're in the same region with Rogue and other teams like that do have that kind of backing. So the teams that come from those kinds of regions tend to be significantly better than the teams that come from other kinds of regions. And so for a really basic idea of what you're dealing with, the strongest regions historically are Germany, Austria, Switzerland, France, Spain, and Poland. Those four regions have produced by far more winners than any of the other regions. UK and the Nordics, in theory, should be on that level, and they have Fnatic Rising, the B team of Fnatic from the LEC. But historically, the UK has been probably the biggest letdown region when it comes to EU Masters. They almost never make the kind of run that their teams are kind of expected to make. Italy, the Balkans, Greece, and Cyprus, none of these regions are nearly as strong as the others. We do get occasional very strong teams that come out of these regions and make a little bit of a run. But generally speaking, when you're looking for the winners of the event, I think you're looking at Poland, Spain, France, or the German, Austria, and Switzerland region. Down in the play-ins, so this part is already gone. We're not going to deal with the play-ins at all. They had the Baltics in there. They had Czech Republic, some other regions, the Benelux. But they have already played, and of all these teams, only 4 teams qualified for the main event. The teams that qualified for the main event were Gamer Legion from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, LDLC from France, Intrepid Fox Gaming from Greece and Cyprus, and then 7 more Pompa team from Poland. But you can see the teams that got their representatives in from the play-ins: Poland, France, Germany. The one kind of surprise is Intrepid Fox Gaming getting in there from Greece and Cyprus. I believe they had a pretty easy run. Let me take a look real quick. In their play-in match, they had to play against Sector 1, which is a team that's from, I believe, the Dutch region. The Benelux, the Belgian league. So they had to play against Sector 1, not the hardest matchup when it comes to their play-in matchup. Before that, they were in a group with 7 more Pompa team, who's from Poland, and then Sinners and 5 Kings. 5 Kings coming from the Baltics, Sinners coming from the Czech Republic and Slovakia. So you had their play-in group was an extremely easy play-in group. You can see they avoided Asuba, Riddle, Gamer Legion, G2 Arctic, LDLC. They avoided all the teams from the bigger regions. The only one in their group was 7 more Pompa team. And then when they went to the qualification match, like LDLC had to play Riddle. Riddle's from the UK, LDLC from France. Gamer Legion had to play G2 Arctic. So you're dealing with like some pretty tough matchups here. And then Pompa team got played against Raccoon. an easier matchup there. And then Intrepid Fox got by far the easiest road into the main event, playing against Sector 1. So I wouldn't say necessarily that you should view Intrepid Fox on the same level as some of these other teams that got through. I think G2 Arctic, if they had played Intrepid Fox, probably would have been a near lock to beat Intrepid Fox. But as it is, only 3 of the 4 main region teams got in because LDLC and G2 Arctic got paired to each other. So one of them had to get eliminated, and LDLC, our defending champions, came up and beat G2 Arctic to join the main event. So who are we looking at in the main event? Before I go over any stats, let's just run over some teams real quick and see who we recognize. I don't know all these rosters perfectly either. I'm just doing my researching pretty much the same time I'm doing it with you. I had some look over it beforehand, but I'm assuming we're going to see some pretty similar rosters to what we saw for the last EU Masters, and that I watched every game of. So with these teams joining, so let's look at 7 more Pompa team real quick. Sidmavac, Brunus, Chajek, Bullet, and Defless. I don't recognize any of these players coming straight out of the Polish league. This team has had some people you would know on it. Pookie Style has been on it. Inspired, Mystiques, Raxo, Schlatan. A lot of players, Matislaw. Other players that you would have recognized in the past, but nobody here that's been an EU Masters staple to my memory. I don't remember any of these players playing before. Poland, a very good region, though. They looked good the last EU Masters, so I would expect them to continue doing that. LDLC, Vethio, Tinks, Bando, Exakick, and Yellow Star. So the only difference here, no Hades, who was at the last EU Masters when they won. Exakick instead. Everything else here, I believe, is the same. Yes. Everything else here is the same as last EU Masters, so this team should be pretty strong. I will say, let's look at their playoffs here. They lost to Gamers Origin. No, they lost to Misfits Premier, another team that we're going to see that's a very, very good team. And then Misfits Premier went on to win the league. So definitely a top 2, top 3 team from the French region. And defending champions, they know what they're doing around here. Gamer Legion, Visdom, Harnan, Knight, Rabble, and Phones. I believe this is the exact same lineup that they played with at the last one. They made the main event there. Had a decent run, but nothing super exciting. I think this is a pretty good team, though. This is definitely a team I would be watching out for. We'll look at their statistics in a minute to some degree or another, but definitely a team that you should recognize if you watched the last EU Masters. Same exact lineup there to the best of my memory. Then the last team that got in, Intrepid Fox. Baco, LeBron, Punisher, Gagai, and Kuma. This team... Delito... Yeah, this team, I recognize the team. I believe they were also in the last EU Masters, but I don't recognize almost any of these players. Baco, definitely not. LeBron, no. Gagai and Kuma, I don't recognize. Punisher, I do recognize. I think he was on the last version of the roster. These other 4, all newer players, so don't have too much background with any of those guys. I mean, I watch a lot of League of Legends guys, but I did not watch the Greek League. I just don't have the time to watch all those leagues if I'm going to watch the 4 major regions. So I'm just coming in with the general understanding that a team like this, they're from the Greek region, which is better than some of the other regions, but not nearly as good as the top 4. I'm just going to sort of view them like that if they're a team that I don't know a ton about. Going into the main stage teams, We Love Gaming. This is a team that's been here before. Icebreaker, Warden, Paris, Bonanito, Mursa, Fallen, Nero, Antilipsy. So this is a team that we've seen before, but to my knowledge, this is not any of the same players. Let's just look it up to be sure. Let's look up EU Masters 2020 Spring. We Love Gaming. Spring main event. WLG. Did they not make? They must not have made the main event last time. I swear they were there last time. Spring play-in. We Love Gaming. They had Icebreaker, Double Aim, Paris, Bananito, and Hungry Panda. So Bananito, yes. Paris. Oh yeah, Paris Gree. I remember now. and Icebreaker was there as well. Double Aim was their superstar, their jungler. Appears that he is no longer on the team. I would generally assume, given that they're running a couple of the same players, but they've lost the player who was considered to be like their superstar, probably a step down from where they were last time. That said, Double Aim went to this team Crazy, and I'm guessing if they made the playoff, if they made EU Masters, they must have beaten Crazy. So let's have a look there. We can have a look through, possibly in a different region, because Crazy's not even here. So he went to a team in a larger region. Are they here? They did make it. They were from the Balkans. They made the play-ins, but did not qualify for the main event. In any case, We Love Gaming, coming from the Greek and Cyprus region. Same thing I was talking about with Intrepid Fox. I would not expect them to be... They're going to be a team that I would expect to lose to almost any of these other teams from the more major regions. In the Balkans, SuppUp Esports, Clowny, Spooky, Luxy, VZZ, Tasteless. Tasteless I recognize. Luxy I recognize. Spooky I think I recognize. Just trying to see. Tasteless picked up in June 2020 in their main region. I kind of like doing this with you guys, and then we can all just kind of, you guys can see the same kind of process I would go through to just like kind of look at these teams. They did beat Crazy and Crvena Zvezda, who I can never get their name correct, but that's an organization that's been in EU Masters before and has put up some good teams there. That Crazy team also had Gabo and Raxo. Raxo, a standout from the last EU Masters. Gabo has been around a number of times. So this is a pretty good Crazy team here that SuppUp beat in their playoffs. They beat them 3-0 in the finals too, so just stomped a pretty good Crazy team. They're a team I'm going to give a little bit more respect to than maybe a traditional team in this region, given that I've seen them beat some pretty good competition there, whereas WLG, I didn't really see anyone in their bracket that blew me away. So SuppUp maybe slightly better than some of these other teams. I still wouldn't take them as a favorite over any of the major region teams. The gap between the major region and minor region teams as far as EU Masters goes is getting bigger and bigger in the last few seasons as more money gets popped into these teams from their main organizations. You'll see when we go up here, almost all these top teams are going to have the backing of major region teams of some kind. So not expecting a ton from the lower like smaller region teams here, but SuppUp looks like they had a pretty good setup there. Let's look at Samsung Morning Stars. I mean, you can already tell the team has Samsung backing of some degree or another, so we should expect something from them. Stenboss, Ekis, Niter, Gooby, and Click. Don't recognize any of these players. So I don't think any of these players have been EU Masters guys before. Let's see how they got here, because I'm kind of interested in why Samsung has a team in the Italian National League. Just as CP Sparks is the team that almost always comes out of this region. Raccoon has come out of this region before. I'm not recognizing a lot of players on these teams either, though. It looks like maybe a lot of their players went to other teams. Robin on this MKers team. Edward, if it's, the Edward. Yeah, I think it is. So really, this MKers team is the one that has the people that I recognize. I'm guessing, because we just looked at this last region that we were in, the Balkans region, and in the Balkans region, when we were looking around there, let's just go back for a second, you can see Gabo and Foma, both Italian. Maybe there was some sort of minor exodus out of the Italian region. I know Gabo was one of the best Italian players at the last EU Masters. Maybe some sort of exodus out of the Italian region. You're noticing not a ton of, like, half the teams don't have Italian players on them. Or, like, I mean, they have them, but not for the full team. Like, this MKers team has no Italian players on it. And then you go down to, like, Morning Stars has one Italian player, and then you're looking at two Danish guys, Lithuanian, and a Swede. So this region may be slightly getting getting farmed out. I do recognize Rarish from Raccoon, but for the most part, not a lot of the same players that we've seen from this region in the past. Some of the same teams, but almost none of the same players. Hard to tell for sure if the region got significantly harder with these import players, or if it got easier because some of their best players were leaving. So I can't say a ton about Morningstars, except that if you're a Samsung backed team and you're importing 4 players to win the Italian local league, my guess is this team's probably pretty good. I'm going to give some value to Morningstars there for sure. I think this is kind of the order I might put these teams in. Yeah, I think from what we're seeing, it seems like, honestly, We Love Gaming is likely to be the worst, SuppUp next, and then Samsung. Let's look at the Fnatic Rising roster. I know they went undefeated in their regular season. Same roster we've seen from Fnatic Rising in previous EU Masters. So Fnatic Rising, a team that is the kind of team that makes the playoffs and everybody gets excited about them, and then they don't end up really being competitive with the very top teams. That's basically what they've always been. When we go over the groups, we'll kind of see if they seem like they might be in a good position this year. But I'm guessing we're going to see the same thing. Bravado was a support that I was a big fan of. He scored a lot of points. Magifelix is really the biggest carry on the team. And then Dan and Pride, I think, are just kind of a solid jungle top duo. So not a team I expect to be one of the teams that's in the running to win necessarily, but a good team. Looks like they're in basically the same position Fnatic Rising is always in going into EU Masters. Next up, a Go Rogue from Poland. Third place finisher. I can't remember if they came third or fourth. But third or fourth place finisher at the last EU Masters. And their support is different. They've gotten rid of Mystiques, who I actually thought was kind of a standout. It looks like he went over to KP Neosurf, so we'll come across him. Shigenda, Zenzara, Chekolad, and Woolite is the same 4 combination that they had before, so they've just replaced their support. And this was a top 3 or 4 team last time. I wouldn't expect that to change. Chekolad was a monster. Zanzara was very, very good. Not a team that I think that their bot lane is as important. I did think Mystiques was extremely good on the team, but Chekolad and Zanzara are, for me, where the power from this team comes from. If you're playing these guys, Chekolad in particular, his Syndra was absolutely off the charts at the last EU Masters. So, good team here, expecting a good amount from a Go Rogue. Now going over to KK Neosurf, who beat them in the local Polish league. Ibo, Ice Beasto, you might remember from many previous EU Masters. He's a guy that's been around forever in this scene. Shlatan, Matislaw, Puki Style, and Mystiques. So the difference here is they traded Raxo, who was an excellent support, who went to Crazy, and they picked up Mystiques, who is an excellent support, who was last on a Go Rogue. So in theory, this team should have just gotten better. This was a team that a lot of people gained an affinity for at the last EU Masters. They were one of the bloodiest teams in the tournament, so they were very playable at all times. A lot of Twitter memeing with pictures of Puki Style, who's been around the scene in professional league for it's like almost coming up on a decade now. He's been around for absolutely ever. Matislaw has been around a long time. Ice Beasto has been in the regional circuit forever. This should be a really, really good team. They won the local league, one of the better leagues in Poland, and them and a Go Rogue were both very, very strong at the last event, so I would expect them to be extremely good. Vodafone Giants coming up next, another team that's in basically every EU Masters. The Antonio, Llama Bear, Pretty, Attila, Erdote, same team they ran with last time, if my memory serves. And they were, a top 8 kind of team. I wouldn't expect too much more or too much less from them. Attila is definitely the superstar of their team. People might recognize him from the LEC, playing on Vitality for a long time, and for me, he was their star as well. Movistar Riders, the other third, fourth team from the last EU Masters, along with a Go Rogue. I can't remember if a Go Rogue beat them or not in the third and fourth place match, but same team. Beanzu, Eloya, Zico, Yava, and Rux. This is the exact same squad they played last time. Assuming no issues, I would expect them. I think maybe they were a little bit on the lucky side to be a top 4 team. Feels more like a top 8 team to me. A team that, in theory, you would expect to kind of make the playoffs, but maybe not be a contender to win. I would think it'd be about the same this time around. Going over to France, Gamers Origin. Hustlin' B, Smiley, Takui, Bluezor, and Shemek, same team there as well. Running it back, another team that was performing. They, I believe, lost in the round of 8 in the last EU Masters, but they were a team that was putting up a reasonable performance. Kind of the same thing from these guys. I would expect them to be like a top 8 team, but maybe not in the running to win the tournament. Misfits Premier, Agresivo, Kire, Ronaldo, Jesu, Targamas. Is this the same? I want to say... Did they make EU Masters last time? For some reason, Misfits Premier are not standing out to me. I think they missed last time. Yes, they did. The time before that, I believe they were in, so 2019 summer. I believe they did make this one. Maybe not. Has it been this long since we saw them in the EU Masters? Devils won. 2019 spring? They were one of the favorites in one of them, but I'm trying to remember which season it was. Misfits Premier. They ended up winning the tournament, and they were one of the favorites for a while here. Their lineup, though, significantly different. This was back when they had Leader and Obsessed and Dan. Okay, I do remember this lineup. So I know all of these guys. Targamas has been around forever. He was on Giants in the LEC, maybe even before it was the LEC. Just back when it was the EU, well, definitely when it was the EU LCS, but I can't even remember if it was officially the LEC yet. But he was in there. Ronaldo used to play for Misfits, Fnatic Rising. Good player. Kire, I remember him, but I can't remember who he used to play for. And Agresivo, a Polish standout. He's been around forever. Who was Kire playing for before this? 1907 Fenerbahce and Dark Passage over in Turkey. So an experienced team, all guys that have been around for a long time. Jesu is the only one I don't recognize. And this is his first team. Just looking to double check. So they picked up a rookie 80 carry, put him with 4 veterans, guys that have been around forever. I would expect this team to be pretty good. I'm not sure that I get a little sketched out when I see people like Targamas still around, because you don't know. Like Edward was in EU Masters forever, and he never really had a good performance in EU Masters. He was just a guy that was kind of picked up for name value. Targamas could be in a similar situation to that. I don't know if I'm going to consider Misfits Premier to be one of the top teams, but I mean, they did beat LDLC, our reigning champions. They beat them and then beat Gamers Origin pretty badly in the finals. So, I mean, you have to give some respect to them. Expect them to be a top team for sure. From the German region, Germany had a pretty poor performance last time around. Of the 4 major regions, I think probably they had the biggest underperformance at the last one. So maybe we have a little bit of a... we hold back our expectations just a little bit, maybe. The Schalke lineup, sleeping, should be Lurox, now that Gilius is playing with the main roster. Certus, Inax, and Dreams. Actually, Nukes. Should be Nukes. So some guys you guys should know. Inax, Nukes have been around. Lurox you've seen in the LEC. Sleeping is an acceptable but not exciting top laner as of the last time I saw him. And Certus has been their mid laner for a little while. So another team, this team underperformed pretty heavily at the last EU Masters. Whether or not we continue to see that, kind of hard to say. They did come second in their region this time. They beat Gamer Legion as far as ranking, so Gamer Legion's a pretty good team. I'm going to stick with these guys as kind of my second tier of team for the moment. Possible to win the event, but maybe not in my very top tier. And Mousesports, Tolkien, Obsessed, Leader, Jeskla, Promiscu. This is probably among your favorites for the tournament. This is the same, should be the same roster that was playing the last EU Masters. To the best of my memory, I'm just trying to remember for sure. I'm pretty sure this is the same exact roster. And honestly, a very good team. This has got to be one of the favorites going into the event. If we're picking favorites, for me, it's probably either Kick, a Go Rogue, Mousesports, Misfits Premier. I think you have to give some respect to. The Spanish teams don't seem as strong to me this time around. Movistar Riders, I don't know. Even with their decent performance at the last one, I'm not as sold on them. And Vodafone Giants hasn't looked as good as they looked at previous EU Masters. I think for me, if I was looking at favorites just from previous knowledge, it would probably be Mousesports, one of the Polish teams, maybe Misfits Premier, as far as potential favorites to win the entire event. So let's look at how they got pooled up real quick. So they're going to play 2 round robins in each pool, with the top 2 teams going to the playoffs. In the first group, we have Schalke Evoloution, KCK Neosurf, LDLC, and Samsung Morningstars. Really unfortunate for Samsung Morningstars, because I kind of talked about how I think I could give them a fair bit of credit as far as these smaller region teams went, but this is a very tough group. Schalke, KCK Neosurf, and LDLC is a group that should be very tough to get past. I would expect KCK to get out of this group. Then it comes down to LDLC and Schalke. You have the 2 teams from the last EU Masters final in the same group here, LDLC and KCK. I could see Schalke stealing a spot from one of those 2. The Schalke roster is pretty good. I think it's a battle between these 3. I have a hard time seeing Samsung Morningstars winning very many games at all. Going into Group B, Go Rogue, Movistar Riders, SuppUp Esports, Team Gamer Legion. Another kind of tough one. I mean, I guess the groups in general are just kind of tough, but SuppUp, I feel kind of bad for them. Their rosters seem like maybe they might be, a team that wouldn't be too terrible, considering they're from a smaller region. But once again, pretty tough here. A Go Rogue, Movistar Riders, Gamer Legion. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a Go Rogue and Movistar Riders probably get out of this group. Gamer Legion definitely has a shot. I would say Rogue is my team that I think is going to get out regardless. And then it kind of comes down to Movistar and Gamer Legion for that second spot. I think I would go with Movistar Riders. The third group, we have 7 more Pompa team, Misfits Premier, Vodafone Giants, and We Love Gaming. I don't expect We Love Gaming to win any games in this group, so probably almost certainly coming fourth. Vodafone, Misfits, and Pompa team. I think Misfits gets out for sure. The question for me is Vodafone Giants versus Pompa team. I'm going to lean towards Vodafone Giants and say Misfits Premier and Vodafone Giants are likely to get out of this group. The fourth group, they get the easiest play-in team in Intrepid Fox, but then they still have Fnatic Rising, Gamers Origin, and Mousesports. Very tough group. Intrepid Fox's run of lucky pairings ends here for sure. I think Mousesports gets out of this group for sure, and the question mark is between Fnatic Rising and Gamers Origin. I think I'm actually going to go with Fnatic Rising. So I think Fnatic Rising and Mousesports get out of this fourth group. Gamers Origin just barely missing out. So there's a lot of very good teams in these regions now. Some teams like Gamers Origin is a team that I would not have predicted to be getting knocked out in groups. Gamer Legion is the kind of team I would not be generally predicting to get knocked out in groups. And same with any of these 3, Schalke, KCK, and LDLC. There's just so many good teams now. Hard to avoid it. But those would be my picks as far as getting out of the groups. Let's just take a quick look at their stats because we want to know for DFS who we're going to be playing and not wanting to play. If you stop, you can kind of look over this to see who you like. Keep in mind, everyone here is going to have a good games won and games lost number. They came from their regional leagues where they were all champions or second places or third places, so they're all very good records. The different regions play significantly more or less games than others, so you can see like Mousesports played 18 games in the regular season, Misfits Premier played 7. Can be a pretty big difference in some regions to another. But looking at, I sorted, this is just a general list right here, and then I sorted them by kill per win. So kill per win, in order to see which teams we want to target, we need good teams with high kill per wins, because a lot of the teams like We Love Gaming has the highest kill per win, but I don't really see them winning any games. So it doesn't really matter that they have a really high kill per win. LDLC is in second, Fnatic Rising is in third, and a Go Rogue is in fourth. Those all seem like teams that are going to be priority targets. Gamers Legion, if they're winning their games, Intrepid Fox I think you can kind of knock out. I don't really see them picking up more than maybe 1 win in that group. Mousesports comes in next. The teams you're trying to avoid, Vodafone Giants, Misfits Premier, Schalke Evoloution, so the German region there coming in a little bit short, as well as the Spanish region. There's some some massive variance there. One thing that stuck out to me, though, KCK Neosurf on the lower end here, where last year they were the highest team, they're now among the lowest, so maybe a team we're not going to be looking to target as much as we were last time around. LDLC, Fnatic, Rogue, Gamer Legion sticking out as like the 4 high kill teams that I really want to be looking at. In the DPL list, so the teams you want to be targeting against, this is where you want bad teams that have high DPLs. Intrepid Fox leads. So Intrepid Fox versus Fnatic Rising is a matchup that we're going to see. There's one that seems very targetable. Gamer Legion is up here. LDLC you can see first and second, so they're just generally one of the bloodiest teams in the entire U Masters. Gamers Legion is up here. Fnatic is up here. We Love Gaming in 5th. So We Love Gaming. Misfits and Vodafone both very low, though. 7 more Pompa team is the bloodiest matchup that they're going to play into. Misfits Premier pretty high on the DPL list. Teams you don't want to target against. SuppUp Esports is the one that sticks out to me. They're a team that's going to lose a lot probably, but maybe don't make the best team to target. Very low DPL at 12.3. Morning Stars look like they're just generally kind of low in kill per win and death per loss, so maybe they're a team that you want to kind of avoid. It looks like the biggest targets, LDLC matchups are standing out. Fnatic Rising matchups are standing out. 2 teams that are kind of high on both. Gamer Legion is pretty close to the top on both sides. And then Intrepid Fox strikes me as a team you want to be playing against as much as you can. So there's kind of a little overview of the EU Masters for you guys. It's not the most in-depth. There's plenty more research to be done if you wanted to do it. I just wanted to give a basic go-over to anybody who was planning on playing the EU Masters, give you some basic idea of who you should be targeting, who you should be battling against. I'm going to go do some more research and video and film review, but I just wanted to get a basic prepper out for anybody that hasn't watched this before or doesn't know how it works or who these teams are. Hopefully this will be informative for you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you later. Good luck at the EU Masters.